It's like somebody blew a whistle and everybody decided to leave at the same time.
Traffic, traffic, traffic.
I never seen Atlanta this bad.
I've never seen it this backed up.
Tractor trailers were basically stuck on ice. I was on 75 for about 17 hours, basically slept on the interstate.
And what are your prospects for getting it out tonight?
None. I may sleep in my vehicle tonight.
Everybody complain. Everybody.
How frustrated are you?
Very frustrated. Salt the roads first. When the snow starts to fall, you continue to salt them. And we wouldn't have this problem right here.
I've been here for 10 hours.
We've been stuck here for 9 hours.
I've been here since 10 o'clock.
I never imagined it's anything like it.
It was unbelievable. It took me 9 hours to go 3.5 miles.
We made a mistake by not staggering when people should leave. So I'll take responsibility for that.
The winter storm warning is over, but more than 30 hours after it all began, there are still hundreds of cars left abandoned on the side of the road.
Simply hard to believe, but it is true. Several motorists are also still stuck on icy highways trying to get home. Even now, angry residents still asking city and state officials why and how this could happen. We have live team coverage for you, beginning with our Matt Pearl tonight. Matt?
Good evening, and we do want to note some breaking news. The governor's office releasing a statement a little while ago saying that working with school districts across the metro, the governor is announcing that all school children have now been returned safely to their families. This involved the work of the National Guard and State Patrol. And again, this was just one of many surreal parts of a very long 30 hours. When the sun rose Wednesday and the choppers hit the air, this is what they saw. Highways turned parking lots and drivers still stuck from the night before. What happened that night was staggering. At one point, tens of thousands of Metro Atlanta students were stuck on the bus. Many slept at school. Drivers abandoned their cars. Folks who couldn't get home spent the night at Publix and Home Depot. Even Waffle House saw its customers get behind the counter to serve food. On the Today Show this morning, Al Roker blasted the response of the city and the state.
And this was poor planning on the mayor's part and the governor's part, pure and simple. They were warned about it. They should have been prepared for it, and people are still suffering.
Over the past 8 hours, the weather has warmed, some of the ice has thawed, and many of the traffic backups have been cleared.
We are treating the roads, and there will be some lanes of roads that already are better if you've traveled this morning as I have.
As the region begins its recovery, the scope of the storm remains. Officials say 1 million Atlantans tried to leave town yesterday at the same time. The Georgia DOT in just 24 hours reported hundreds of highway accidents and road hazards. And many spent more than a dozen hours stuck in the snow jam.
Folks who have become stranded, and they are offering assistance and any kind of help that they can. I think that is typical of what Georgians do.
Now, many Georgians, obviously, who left their cars yesterday wondering when they can go back and get them. The governor is saying he would like folks to remain at home until tomorrow, to wait until tomorrow to get those cars if they are in areas of snow and ice. But again, the big news, the big breaking news we want to report is that the governor has announced that all school children have been returned home to their families. Guys?
All right, that is good news for all the families that have been so frustrated and so worried about their children. It was certainly encouraging today seeing some of those roads cleared up bit by bit. There are still many motorists stranded, though, even after more than 24 hours and counting. Those icy roads certainly won't be thawing tonight.
No time soon. 11 Alive's Blaine Alexander is along I-285 southbound on Cascade. Blaine, we have seen you there all day with that traffic, the heavy ice, and the beat goes on.
And that's right, Jeff, and sadly not a whole lot has changed since you've seen me earlier today. Still, you look back and you can see traffic as far as the eye can see. There have been some periods of movement, but for the most part, what you've seen is a lot of gridlock here in this area, and we're going on nearly 36 hours since the storm moved in. It's only about 4 miles between Cascade Road and Camp Creek Parkway, but when this is your only mode of transportation, it feels a lot longer.
I have an elderly parent at home. That's why we're walking, trying to get home.
And how far do you have to go still?
About 6 miles.
For many stranded drivers, this racetrack right off of 285 was a saving grace.
I mean, it was like everything was dead on 285. I mean, this is the only place that's open, inviting. I came here, saw the sign, free coffee.
And in this area, it seemed truck drivers had it the hardest.
Apparently the big company of FedEx called and said shut everybody down. That's how we ended up getting down here is everybody was wrecked, so the cops was diverting us off, and having a truck going through city streets isn't very easy.
But the bad weather and the bad roads were enough to bring out the good in some people.
And I was watching the news, I knew people was out here stranded. So I walked to the closest McDonald's like 8 o'clock this morning, 7 o'clock. We got like 200 biscuits, started handing them out on 20 westbound.
We went to Walmart, actually got crackers, bananas, extra water. They just so grateful, you know, they, like some people saying, you know, they could have starved to death.
Now, we mentioned a lot of movement out here on this stretch of the highway. I want to show you some video that we shot really less than 20 minutes ago. It looks like a row of snow plows coming in, all stretched across all lanes of 285, escorted by a Hero truck and some police officer cars behind that. So again, just some period of movement. If I want to show you back out here live, just 2 seconds ago, as we were in that package, we actually saw several officer cars come through, followed by wreckers. For the past hour, they've been bringing in wrecker trucks, perhaps a sign that they are moving towards clearing up this highway. And again, you can see it looks as though traffic is beginning to flow a little bit smoother behind us here on 285. Back to you.
Blaine, I've been tossing to you for 8 hours, and it's the first time I've seen a sand truck all afternoon and all evening.
Isn't that amazing? Absolutely amazing. As we say, bit by bit, this is unfolding and unraveling itself. People now, after having abandoned their cars, they're being told to stay off of the roads. Don't go back out to try to get your car and take it home. Now they're concerned that their cars may in fact be towed while they're on the side of the road. 11 Live's John Shurik is on I-85 in DeKalb County right now near Spaghetti Junction with more on that. That's awfully disconcerting, John.
Right, Brenda. You know, what a welcome sight. What a contrast. Traffic moving smoothly on I-85 near Spaghetti Junction. But the towing is a personal cost of this storm. Countless cars and trucks remain abandoned along the sides of the interstates and the highways, and the owners are finding out that towing companies are coming to tow them away before they have a chance to come get their vehicles. In Karen Cantrell's case, she found out she's going to have to pay $125 plus a daily storage fee.
Towing companies have to charge for their services.
I understand, but I just think it's a little too much when there's so many cars left abandoned. I saw so many last night over the hill, all that, and there's so many still abandoned right now. It's just the price, the $125 today and $15 for every day after.
Now it's the counties and the cities along the route of the highways and the interstates that are sending the tow trucks to those highways and interstates to tow them away, to tow the vehicles away. And we're understanding that some local jurisdictions may provide free towing, just a few. But it's still going to cost somebody something. The towing companies can't do this for free, so either the car owners, truck owners are going to have to pay for it, or maybe in some cases the taxpayers. Reporting live from DeKalb County, John Shurik, 11 Live News.
More fallout and more fallout. GDOT is telling us that they are not towing any vehicles off of the interstate. That is from the spokesperson for Georgia DOT, Carlene Barron. GDOT will not be towing, but what's happening within the counties, that may be a different story.
Conversely, I can't tell you how many emails I have gotten today, also on Facebook and Twitter, from people saying, look, I'm getting poached by tow companies all across Atlanta Metro who are picking up cars, then charging $140. And for every day that you do not pick up your car, there is a penalty. So it goes from $140 to $160 to $180 after
crazy.
3 days.
You would think this is really not the time to do that. No. After all that we all collectively have been through together. All right, icy roads leaving hundreds of people angry on the side of the road, angry still sitting in their cars, angry that they sat in their cars for some 14 plus hours before they were able to get home. Jay Watson talked to some who are very filled with a lot of frustration.
It's a line to nowhere.
At least that's what it feels like.
I only need to go 2 miles, but it may as well be 1,000 because nobody's getting anywhere.
Amidst the hundreds of stuck and abandoned cars on Northside Parkway, which runs parallel to Interstate 75, are thousands of people with stories, and all of the stories end here. Ellis Wiener left work at 1:30 yesterday to pick his daughter up.
About 10:30 last night, I was able to get over here, which is just up the road a little bit. And we then got back in the car and tried to get home, and about midnight realized that wasn't happening. Parked the car over by the Publix and walked about a half mile back up to her after-school center where we stayed for the evening.
I've been on the road since 4 p.m. yesterday trying to get home.
Where are you coming from?
Coming from the airport. So it's been pretty rough. Total nightmare out here.
These desperate motorists have been forced through unexpected stages. Frustration.
It's only been 20 hours, that's all.
Anger.
The mayor should be fired.
Grief.
And I filled up 6 gallons of gas with a gallon milk jug.
I'm sorry.
And now I'm going to stay at the church tonight.
Tempers are shot. The wait for gas at this station is 2 hours.
You know what? Go around. You're not going in front of me. Plain and simple.
But stranded motorists say they helped each other through the night and the day. Publix and CVS let hundreds of people sleep on their floors.
Yeah, I slept in the Hallmark card aisle by some birthday cards, unfortunately. That was my bed last night.
You taking a picture? Peace.
And in the middle of this frozen madness, a breath of 13-year-old air from 2 girls stuck for 22 hours in the car with Dad.
We ended up driving over here, and it took us 13 hours to drive over here, and then we ended up sleeping right over there at the Shell station in our car.
Yeah.
Where's home?
It's like right up there.
It's right up there, but the hill is like frozen.
You seem pretty cheery compared to other people.
Yeah. We're cheerleaders.
In Buckhead, Jay Watson, 11 Alive News.
Very, very cute. And, you know, there was one dad who walked 6 or 7 miles to his daughter's school and spent the night with his daughter at the school, I guess, to comfort her. I mean, that is just so tender. All of those heartbreaking stories and, you know, just people's lives upended. It's absolutely
It's extraordinary, these tales that we read and we hear about. And we want to check in with our traffic team now to see how the conditions are tonight. Crash?
Crash is taking a much-deserved rest. I'm here, Fred McFarland here in the traffic studio. Ice continues to wreak havoc on the highways. One of the new spots that we've seen some problems that developed in the last couple hours, 75 southbound. If we can take, if we have this live video footage here, we maybe not, but take my word for it. 75 southbound, just an absolute parking lot. Very, very slow from around 575 to the top end. It's ice. That's the only thing. There's no accidents, no stalls there, just ice, making for a very tough ride. I'm going to tweet that out as well as some other pictures. We've still got a wreck on 75 northbound coming up from the south side, right around 285. Got a picture of that. It's still clearing in the left lanes. Chris, over to you. Oh. Or back to you guys. I'm sorry.
All right, we'll get to Chris in just a moment. Our team coverage continuing now with an accident that literally swallowed up a car.
This is an amazing story.
It
Kevin
is.
Rosen joins us from Woodstock with a story that you have to see to believe.
You know, Jeff, with all that has happened in the last 30 hours here in Woodstock in Cherokee County, with people stranded, cars spun out and abandoned on the roadways, and kids having to spend the night in their schools, the only thing people could talk about here today in Woodstock was the car in the sinkhole. Yep, that's it. You can barely see the top of the 1995 Mercedes C280. Alec Monroe was driving that car. He just left Woodstock High School at around noon yesterday and lost control going down a slippery hill on Town Lake Hills Parkway. Now, he said he tapped the brakes and the car just went out of control into a slide. It jumped a curb and then hit a fire hydrant. Monroe got out of the car okay, leaving belongings inside. After all, what else could happen? So now you got out of the car, right? I mean, it was, what was it? Was water flowing from the hydrant?
Water kept flowing out from the hydrant.
So you got out of the car and got out safely?
Yeah.
How long before this happened?
Probably 30 minutes.
Did you see it happen?
Yeah. I was back there and all my school stuff was in it and I was like, ah.
Yeah. Well, he's taking it pretty well. Not only his school stuff was in there, he said his mother's credit card was in there. and his winter parka was in there. He said he was just about to go back to that car to get the winter parka because he was getting cold. That's when he saw the earth fall down and his car go with it. Live in Cherokee County, I'm Kevin Rosen, 411 Alive News.
Glad to see he is okay, but I keep thinking about his father. His son comes home and says, Dad, I got to tell you about this car.
Yeah.
It got swallowed in a sinkhole.
You're right, son. Except it really did happen. But that is a tough one. I'm glad he's okay, though. All right, for hundreds of Metro Atlanta kids, though, dozens of teachers will have lots of stories to tell when classes resume and normalcy begins at all these school campuses. Stories about spending the night at school.
Our education reporter Donna Lowry says the teens had a tougher time dealing with it than the little kids who loved being at school at night.
You know, I didn't sleep. I had my 2 babies, but my big baby, not at home.
Her 9th grade baby, one of about 400 teens who had to spend the night at North Atlanta High School because of the icy roads leading to their building.
Even today, there's still a problem. They're not letting many cars through. As you can see, this car is trying to navigate getting out of here. And even the kids, as they came out of the school, walking through, had a hard time walking on the ice.
Spent 4 hours trying to get to it, but.
As for the teens trapped in their school,
at first it was okay, but once we realized that we had to spend the night, it kind of hit everybody and was like, we're not going home.
a few miles away, little ones had a better time at E. Rivers Elementary. The principal let them have a snowball fight and called their overnight stay for 94 kids a snowcation.
Who knew you were going to stay overnight at school and have a little slumber party? We thought, well, let's put on a movie, let's pop some popcorn.
They slept on mats in the gym, and some parents stayed the night, including 5-year-old Elizabeth's dad.
Decided to come here and join her, and
he needed to walk here.
How did that happen?
He had to walk 6 miles.
They left after a fun night, and by early afternoon, buses arrived at all Atlanta schools to take everyone home. Donna Lowry, 11 Alive News.
Daddy's little girl. That's absolutely tender. We want to remind you that Governor Deal has announced that all students now have been returned home. That is the latest news out of the governor's office.
That's the good news.
All students now back at home.
And there's also some good news about Governor Deal says that maybe the weather forecast slowed the state's response yesterday's snow. Maybe.
Yeah, well, that is the big talk today. Doug Richards actually talked with Governor Deal about that, and also reports on what the forecast actually said and when. Doug?
Well, Brenda, Jeff, early Tuesday morning, while most of us were asleep, the winter weather headed to Georgia took a turn, and the National Weather Service ramped up its storm forecast for Metro Atlanta. The question is whether the state should have paid attention sooner than it did.
Mother Nature has a mind of its own, and it does what it chooses to do.
Governor Deal says the state had to be cautious Tuesday morning because he says the weather forecast was not entirely clear.
If we close the city of Atlanta and our interstate system based on maybes, then we would not be a very productive government or a city. We can't do it based on the maybes.
Governor, a winter storm warning is not a maybe.
It's easy to make judgment calls after the fact, and the indications were that the magnitude of it started out saying it was going to be a dusting. Y'all were saying that. It was going to be a dusting.
Here's what the National Weather Service said. Monday at 4:53 a.m., it issued a winter storm watch for Metro Atlanta. Tuesday at 3:39 a.m., it issued a winter storm warning. The warning means hazardous winter weather is occurring, imminent, or highly likely. At 9 a.m., more than 5 hours afterward, the DOT started treating Metro Atlanta roads.
Considering all the facts and circumstances, I think we have done a reasonable job.
Should the DOT have started treating roads earlier, given the winter storm warning that you had?
Well, they did it as quickly as they could. You can't just move these big trucks with loaded down with sand and salt quickly. They did it early in the morning.
They did it at 9 in the morning, and Atlanta Mayor Kasim Reed also answered questions about the city's response to yesterday's storm. And he didn't like some of the questions. Ahead on the Daily 11 at 7.
Yeah, not happy with a couple of questions you asked pointedly to the mayor today. People have questions all over the place directed specifically at the mayor and at the governor.
Weather has been dogging politicians for centuries.
It hasn't. It is unpredictable, which is why you got to keep your eye on it.
Let's go to Chris Holcomb right now, our meteorologist, with more on what we can expect overnight.
It's been dogging meteorologists for centuries as well. It is a challenge at times, and it was a challenge forecasting today's high as well. We never made it above freezing. 28 degrees is our current temperature, and that's as high as we have been today. But you did notice that a lot of that snow and ice disappeared, and that was thanks to the sunshine and the intensity of the sun that was shining down on it. But here's the deal. The sun has gone down now. It went down at 6:05. So now whatever is out there on the roads is going to get slick once again, even though temperatures all day long have been below freezing. Here's what we're going to be watching. The National Weather Service, in response to GMA, has put out what they call a civil emergency message. You know, the winter storm warning expired today at 1, so there are no additional weather warnings in effect, but the Georgia Emergency Management has requested that these counties that you see in pink here be included in what is called a civil emergency message, meaning they just want to make sure you know, don't get out and drive in this tonight unless it is an emergency, because the roads are going to be getting slick again. And it's not just in this area. Everywhere the roads are going to be slick again. So we're watching these temperatures very closely to see when we're going to have a time to maybe warm up a little bit more above freezing. It is going to be very cold in the morning. 18 degrees to start. We will get a little warmer quicker tomorrow. I think it'll be around lunchtime when we hit 32 degrees, and then for the rest of the afternoon, staying above freezing, topping off at 42. So we have more chances tomorrow to see some thawing thanks to the sun, and the temperatures will finally cooperate with us a little bit more later in the afternoon.
All right. All right, well, we know a lot of you have questions that need answering, questions that apply to your specific life at home or in your neighborhood, in your subdivision. So we have a team of people on our help desk right now solely devoted to answering your questions. I'm Melissa Long there now with more on that.
Yes, you have questions. We are working to gather the answers for you. So many emergency crews and personnel are working overdrive and overtime, and so are we, to get those questions answered for you. A lot of people curious about gas stations that are still without gas, primarily along that 75 corridor that we were broadcasting yesterday was just so backed up from Moores Mill, West Paces, that region right there. The gas stations just off that corridor are out of gas tonight. A lot of people curious about cars that will be towed and have been towed. Where are they going? Working to gather those answers for you about who you can call and then where your vehicle will be towed, the location where it will go. One thing I want to point out as well, if you like us on Facebook, not only can you ask the questions and we'll gather those answers for you, but it's also become a site of thanks. A lot of people saying, I met this wonderful gentleman. Thank you to that gentleman for rescuing me. I met this wonderful lady who brought me something as I was sitting by the side of the road. It's become a real community location where people are going to say, thank you so much for making this just horrendous experience a little bit better.
All right, Melissa, thank you very much. Still ahead, not every motorist was expressing anger after being stranded 4 hours.
Yeah, but the day wasn't so great for several students and the driver of at least one local school bus. We're going to tell you more about that coming up after the break. Right now, a programming note for you here. We're continuing our coverage of the winter storm right here on 11 Alive News tonight. Nightly news, which normally airs at this time, can be seen on our sister station, WATL TV, at its regular time.
And the ATL is channel 813 on Comcast. It's on channel 701 on Charter. We'll be right back.